Hi, in this video we are going to solve a system of equation, right? So you notice that we have two equations here, right? With two variables. And then we are going to solve this by graphing. So the way we solve this by graphing, remember that we learned how to graph using the slope intercept form, right? We used to use the slope intercept form and so on. And remember that when you have your slope is rise over run, right? So we are going to use exactly the same idea to graph this system equation and then find the solution from there. So the first thing we do, we look at our slope. So we notice that our slope over here is 3 over 1, right? So which means that we have to go up 1. And you also notice that the slope over here is positive, and the slope for the second equation is negative. So over here, let's call this one 1, and let's call this one 2. So this is our we have two equations here, right? So for the first equation, let's work on the first equation for now. So you notice that the first equation, the slope here is 3, and then your y-intercept, which is b, which is -4, right? So let's plot the y-intercept. So you notice that the y-intercept over here must be over here at 0, 4, right? So which means that it has to be over here. So that's the point over here. That's our y-intercept. So from our y-intercept, we notice that our slope is 3 over 1. So which means that we have to go up 1 and run. We have to go up 1 and then run 1, right? And you also know that since the slope is positive, it has to come from the right here and going to the bottom left, right? Right, so let's draw that. So we say, hey, we are going 1, we are going 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then 1. So meaning that the next one is over here. We are going to do the same, right? 1, 2, 3, and then we are going 1. So meaning that we're over here. So we can go ahead and draw the graph. If we want, we can keep putting some more points, right? 1, 2, 3, and then 1, meaning that the point is over here. So we can go ahead, right, and graph. We can go ahead and graph this function over here, this equation, right? We graph this function. Let's graph this function here, right? And then this is for this graph is for y equals to 3x minus 4, right? So now let's go ahead and graph y equals to -1 over 2x and then plus 3, right? So let's first look at our slope. So we notice our slope over here is -1 over 2, right? And then where our y-intercept is 3, right? Positive 3. And you know that when your slope is negative, it's coming from the top left here and going to the bottom right, right? So now let's plot the y-intercept. So you notice that the y-intercept is over here, 0, 3 over here, right? This is our y-intercept there. So from there, we can actually graph. So you know that you have to go down 1, right? Go down 1 and then up. We're going down 1 and then up to the right 1. So it's 1, 1, 2. So meaning that my point is over here, and I'm gonna do the same thing. 1, 1, and then 1, 2, meaning my next point is over here. And I keep going and do the same. Also, if I want to put some point over here, right, I can go up 1 and then over twice. So meaning up 1 and then 1, 2. So I'm here. So now I can go ahead, right? I can go ahead and graph this. Right? So I can go ahead and graph it. So you see that we graph both functions here. So this is how we find the solution. The way we find the solution is the point of intersection right? It's the point where those two graphs intersect. So you notice that where the two graphs intersect is over here, right? What is that point where they intersected? The point of intersection over here, we notice that is at 2, 2. So which means that our solution, right? Our solution is 2 and then 2, right? You can just put S equal to 2, and that's our solution. Assume that you already solve it and you get it correct. All right, so let's do it now together. So I assume that what is the first thing you do? The first thing you do, you find your slope, right? We call this equation 1, we call this one equation 2. So let's first graph the first equation, right? So we're going to treat it as a linear function, right? So to graph it, we have to treat it as a linear function. So we're saying that our slope over here is m equals to -2, and then our y-intercept is 2. So you notice that this is a negative slope, meaning that it has to come from this way and go on bottom right? So now let's plot our y-intercept. So we notice our y-intercept over here is 2. Let me just put the 1 there so we can say that, hey, our slope is -2/1. And then we go over here, we plot our y-intercept, right? And then we're gonna go down 2 and up 1, right? Down 2, 1, 2, and then up 1. So meaning that my point is over here, right? I'm gonna keep doing the same work. Down 1, down 2, and then up 1. 1, 2, and then up 1. Down 2, up 1. And I'm here, and I can do exactly the same work, right? I can go up 2, and then up 2, and then left 1. Up 2, and then over here. So which means that I have my graph here, right? So the graph is not going to be perfect. Just right. I can now draw my graph, right? To draw my graph now, right? So I call this equation over here y equals to -2x plus 2, right? So now I need to graph the second equation, right? So I'm gonna call this one first equation, and then this is going to be our second equation over here, right? So we notice that the slope over here is also negative slope, right? But the y-intercept is different, right? So meaning that the slope will remain exactly the same, right? The same slope. And then your y-intercept over here, you see the y-intercept is different, right? Which is -2. So the first one was 2, and then the second one is -2, which means that I am going to be in the bottom here, right? I plot my points here, right? First I plot my points, and then I'm going to, choose the other points by using the slope idea, right? The rise over run. So remember that the slope also have to go on the same directions, right? So let's go ahead and do it. So we see that you have to go up 1, right? You have to go down 1, down 2, and then up 1, down 2, up 1. I'm here. Down 2, right? Down 2, up 1. So let's go back this way. So we go up 2, right? Up 2, and then 1 here. Up 2, 1 here. Up 2, and then 1 here. Right? So meaning that my graph will go this way here, right? So this is our the equation over here is for -2x and then -2. So you notice that, right? You notice over here those two lines are parallel, meaning that they are both going in the same directions and they'll never meet with each other, right? If they all never meet each other and there's no point of intersection, if there's no point of intersection, we claim that there is no solution, right? No solutions, right? So we can claim right away there's no solutions, right? Again, whenever you see those two lines all parallel, right, and they are not meeting, there's no point of intersection, we can go ahead and say that there is no solution. All right, so now let's try the next one. You pause the video and actually try this one, right? So this one is exactly the same work that we did in the previous ones, right? So we know that our slope over here, we first need to find the slope. This is our first equation, and then this is our second equation, right? So the first slope over here, we say this is our slope, which is m equals to -5/3, right? And then where our y-intercept is b equals to 3, right? So our slope, we find our slope and our y-intercept. And the second thing we need to do is plot the y-intercept, right? So we notice that the y-intercept is +2, which is at the axis over here, which is 3 over here, right? And then we can go ahead and we notice that the slope, we know when you see the slope, you see it's a negative slope, meaning that you have to come from the top left and going bottom right, right? So you know that you have to go down 5 and then up 3, right? And say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm here. And then up 3. 1, 2, 3. So which means that I'm over here, right? Since I have 2 points, if I have 2 points, I can go ahead and graph my function, right? Let me go ahead and graph my function over here. I'm graphing my function, and you saw that it is a negative slope, right? I'm done with the first equation. So now, let's work on the second equation, right? So this is our first equation, and then now we are working on the second equation, right? So the first thing we need to do is we need to find the slope. All right, we said to find the slope is 1/3, and then 1/3, and then our y-intercept is -3. This time you notice that there is a positive slope, right? There's a positive slope. So which means that you have to come from the top right and then go on bottom left, right? Or come from the bottom left and go on top right. Depends on the directions you want to say. All right, so let's start with our y-intercept. Plot our y-intercept, which is at -3, right? And then now we're gonna, use the slope to graph now, right? You see that we have to go up 1 and then 3 over, right? Up 1, 3 over. 1, 2, 3. So which means that I am over here, right? Since I already see that I have 2 points, I can go ahead and graph, right? I can go ahead right now and graph since I have 2 points. I don't have to keep putting a lot of points, right? Since I already get my intersection, I don't have to keep graphing, keep finding points, right? The only thing you need is 2 points in order to graph, right? So that the graph meets over here and over there. So meaning that the graph meets from at 3 to -2, right? So we say our solution is 3, right? And then -2. All right, so I hope you stop the video and try this one, right? So we say this is equation now, equation 2, and then we go ahead and say our slope over here is 4, and then we stick with 1, and then our y-intercept is which is b, which is 3, right? So we can go ahead and plot the point. So we know that our y-intercept is 3, so which means that I'm over here, and my slope is positive, so meaning that I know that I'm going this way. So we can go ahead and can also, whenever you're going back down, since you know the slope is positive, you can go up, you do positive. When you go down, you do negative, right? So you notice that over here, they both positive, so meaning that if I'm going back down, I have to change it to my m now will become -4, and then -1. So I can go ahead and go back down, right? If I want to put more points, since there's no other way to put points up there, so I can go ahead and put some point and go back down. So I'm going down 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So meaning that my point is over here. I'm sorry, go down 4 and then over 1. So meaning that my point is over here, right? So now I have a point, I have my 2 points. I can go ahead now and graph, right? I can go ahead now and graph my function, right? And then we call this equation y equals to 4x plus 3. Now, let's work on the second one, right? The second equation. So we're gonna treat it as a linear function, and then we're saying that this is our slope, right? Our slope is -1, and then our y-intercept is negative 2. So you notice that, you know, it's a negative slope, meaning that it has to go toward this direction. You have to take this direction, right? So let's plot our y-intercept. Our y-intercept, we notice that our y-intercept is negative 2, so which means that I am over here. And you notice that over here, my slope is negative, right? We cannot keep going down. Let's try and go up a little bit so we can find some more points. So we can go, you know, we can intersect. So if you go this way, it's okay too. But you're gonna find some point over this way, but we don't need any other points over this way. We need some more points to the left here so we can find the intersection, right? So again, the reason why I'm not going down is because I want to actually cross the line so I could find the point of intersection. So that's why I have to go back up so I could find intersection here. All right, so I can also rewrite this one as negative as 1 and then negative 1, right? So which means I'm going up 1 and then over 1, right? So I'm going up 1 and then over 1. So which means that I have a point over here. So that's already our intersection here, right? So we can go ahead and graph this, right? We can go ahead and graph this. So which means that our solution over here is the point of intersection, which is x and y. So we can go ahead and say that it's negative 1 and negative 1, right? This is our point of intersection. And then this is our solution, all right? Right, so let's work on the other ones now. Hope you pause the video and actually solve this one. So let's do it together. So let's watch this carefully. So we know that we call this one first, our equation, this is the second equation, and this is our, for the slope for the first equation is negative 1 over 2, and then where our y-intercept is negative 1, right? You can go ahead, the first thing we do, we label our equation, and then we find slope in the y-intercept, right? And then after that, we plot the points, right? We plot the y-intercept, which is negative 1, so which means that my point will be over here, and we know that the slope is negative, so which means that I have to go this way, right? So let's go down 1 and over 2, right? Down 1 and then over 2. So meaning that my point is over here. So you notice that I have already 2 points. Let's get one more point to the left here. So we know that I have to change this one, right? So which means that it's gonna become positive 1 and then negative 2, right? So meaning that I'm going up 1 and then over 2. So 1, 1, 2. So meaning that I'm here. So therefore, I have my point over here. I can go ahead and graph, right? I can go ahead here and graph my linear function, right? And then this is my function over here. This is for y equals to negative 1 over 2x and then minus 1. So now, let's go ahead and graph for our second function over here, right? So, and then we say that it's going to be my m is 1 over 4, my y-intercept is negative 4. So we know that this is a positive slope, meaning that I have to come from this way going that way. So I can start plotting my my y-intercept, which is at 4. And then I can go ahead now and say that my slope is up 1 and then over 4, right? So up 1 over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I am over here. So there's one problem here. So meaning that I have to extend my graph here in order to find the intersection, right? So remember that the slope was down 1 and then over 2. So meaning that I have to be over here. So meaning that the line over here crosses, right? The line over here also crosses this point over here, right? So meaning that I already found my intersection here. I already found my intersection, right? So I can go ahead and graph now since I already found my intersection. So the reason why I extend this graph is because I need to find the intersection, right? So you notice that if I stop the graph here, right, you will see that you wouldn't know exactly where, actually where they meet. So that's the reason why I go ahead and extend my graph. And now since I already know my slope, I can keep extending my graph, right? So now I have the point of intersection. So the point of intersection over here, which our solution for the equations, for the system equation, which is 4, right, and then -3. So you see where they meet, right? They meet over here. So that's the point of intersection, right? So what I want you to do, I want you to, I want you to solve this equation, right? I want you to solve this system equation by graphing, right? And then type your answer in the comment, right? Type your answer in the comment below, and then I'll let you know whether you get it correct, right? And I'll help you with it. All right, thanks for watching. It was a pleasure to actually help you guys with this. Thank you for watching.